I want to thank the folks at Fieldstone Memory Care. They are sponsoring the Something to Talk About programs on the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center here on Zoom and occasionally even in person. Fieldstone offers innovative and compassionate care, and they are accepting residents as well as day stay and respite programs. To learn more, call 360-689-4314 and schedule a tour of Fieldstone's beautifully appointed apartments on Rolling Bay today. And today we are going to be talking with Norm James, who is a past president of the BI Photo Club and has a lovely group of photos that are in our lobby atrium area and also online. And I'm going to share the photos that are online so that Norm can walk us through some of the choices he made in picking these photographs. Thanks, Norm, for both the presentation in person and the presentation online.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Reed. I enjoy showing photos, like I think probably virtually every single photographer that's out there, and I just thoroughly enjoy it.
So, so that you have kind of a theme to these based on a visit to Death Valley, right?
Well, it was a visit to Death Valley, and for the Californians out there, I'm starting to understand and speak Californian, and so the 395 is actually Interstate 395, which runs from Mexico all the way up to Canada, and it runs through the interior of California, Oregon, and the state of Washington. And so the 395 trip started down in the Death Valley area, and it ended up where I left the 395 up in Oregon. So the photos were taken in between Death Valley and up in Oregon.
And they feature your furry companion.
That's right, my road tripping partner Pip, which you see here in the back of this old truck bed right here. And this picture was actually taken in Death Valley in Marble Canyon in Death Valley. So she's a wonderful road tripper. She sleeps all the time and then wants to go out for a walk. So wonderful.
Good, and you can pose her, and she doesn't go too far away. It looks like.
No. She's an English Springer Spaniel, and English Springers are we call them Velcro dogs, and they don't chase birds or rabbits or raccoons or anything. They go out and they explore, they come back, they explore, they come back, and she's very good about when I want her to sit and stay, she'll sit and stay, or she'll climb into some weird places that I tell her to climb into just to pose and stuff. She's just a wonderful little girl.
All right, and a photographer's best friend, because she'll model for you.
Oh, absolutely, and you have to have it. You have to have somebody in there. So.
Okay, so I've gone to the first picture in the slideshow.
Okay, so northeast of Death Valley is a small old mining town called Rhyolite, and that's what this is right here. I've been up there. Well, let me back up just a little bit. I'm starting to investigate things far more than I have before. So I looked at this on Google Earth, and I checked out a lot of things on Google Earth, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now. But small town in old mining town in Rhyolite back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and this is quite a town at some point. This is one of the buildings that's remaining from there. And like I said, I got there the day before, kind of scouted it out, camped nearby, and I got up like about 5 o'clock in the morning. This photo was taken towards the end of March, and so the light wasn't, the daylight didn't come early like it is now. So getting up at 5, we still was plenty dark and still had the Milky Way out there. This particular photo is actually 2 different photos that I combined together. I got there and I took the shot of the Milky Way and which is one photo. And then I started playing around with positioning lights, to light up the building and that sort of thing. And so what I would do is I would set it up for a 20-second timer. I'd run over to some area, light up the building, come back, check it out, run over, do it again and again and again until I finally found a well-lit building that I liked, and so I combined these two photographs together. I think that's Jupiter, the bright light that's off to the left. I think that's Jupiter, but I'm not a star or a planet person, but I think that's what that is.
Now, can you tell me, so the first picture taken at this same location, you couldn't see the building at all, pretty much, because it was totally dark.
No, you could see it. You could see it, but I wanted lighting up the building itself. And this is when the last photograph is taken. This is virtually the last photograph I took. There's no sense in going beyond when you finally get one that you like. But if you look at the foreground is starting to light up from the actual sunrise. And so it was starting to light up pretty well, but I wanted the building lit up, separate from the rest of the foreground and stuff.
And what tool did you use to put the photographs together?
Well, I used Photoshop and Lightroom. I used not Lightroom, but Adobe Camera Raw, because I don't use Lightroom at all. But I used Photoshop just to put the two photographs together, and everything was processed through Lightroom. I have an Nikon D750, and I think I was probably using a lens 2470, 2.8 lens, and probably wide open. So, I think the shot was 12 seconds. I think that's probably what it was. Probably about 12 seconds.
So Norm, what light did you have? Headlights off your truck, or
no,
did you have
just a headlamp.
just a headlamp? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I just run over with my headlamp and just flash it, just sweep the light through there. And depends on how fast I swept it through there. Was it too much light or not enough light? And, probably took 10 pictures of the building just trying to get the light right. Yeah, that's all I did. I just used a just a headlamp that I had. You can use other things with different colored lights, different warmth and that kind of stuff, but I just have to have the headlamp. So that's all.
So does that mean you're leaving the headlamp and running out of the frame?
No. I'm standing outside the frame. And then I would just turn on the headlamp and just sweep it through the scene, and then take it out. Because it'd probably be like a 12-second shot. But so I'd only run the headlamp through there for a second or so, something like that. So yeah, that's all that it was. Just sweep the headlamp through there, and until I got the right one that I wanted. Some were too bright, some were not bright enough. I just found one that I liked.
A beauty.
Really nice.
Yeah,
nice
it really has a lovely sort of magical quality.
Thank you.
And the beauty of digital photography is it's really easy to see how it looked right away.
Yeah, immediately. So that way I can run back and take a look and go back and forth. And a lot of people don't realize that the Milky Way, you can see the Milky Way 12 months out of the year, up here. You just don't get to see the core. The core starts coming in about probably mid-April till about mid-October. That's when we can see most of the core. And obviously the further south you go, the more of the core that you're going to be able to see later on. So, Death Valley is pretty far south compared to where we're at. But yeah, you can see the core most of the time. And, you just go to photo pills and figure out where that Milky Way is going to be, and, set everything up from there.
Okay, here's a shot. No Milky Way. Some lovely clouds.
Yeah. So this is the same morning. All I did was turn around and walk about 100 yards down to this next building right here. And this is, the sunrise again. This is Rhyolite, Nevada, Rhyolite, Nevada. And and so for this one, this is actually 3 different photographs that I put together. One was for the building and the landscape, and another one was for the purplish clouds, and then the third one is for the yellow portion of it, of the sunrise. And so just, I just had to find the right balance of everything, and I just put them all together. So it turned out very nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the difference in the colors. That beautiful purple right next to that yellow is makes for a stunning look.
Yeah, it's a very interesting place to go to. Round over to the left that you can't see, there is an old hotel, and it's very Spanish looking, with the arches and all that sort of thing. And that's completely intact. They have a big chain link fence around it. You can get up to it and walk around it, but you can't go inside of it. Just a beautiful, beautiful building. Nobody lives here. I think there's a caretaker here. It's owned by the it's federal land, and it's owned by the federal government and stuff. But just a very interesting place to go and visit. This is, a fairly large city at the time, obviously. I mean, these are concrete structures that are left over from the early 1900s. So yeah. So when I left Rhyolite, going into the Grand Canyon, there is a canyon called Titus Canyon, and this is on Titus Road. And it's a one-way road that it's 27 miles long, starts up at the top near Rhyolite, and you end up down in Death Valley. And they recommend, high clearance vehicles, no campers, no trailers, no anything. And people saw me driving through there with my camper, and they were a little amazed that I was doing that. But the road really wasn't all that bad. There was one little area that was a little dicey, but normal cars can go through it. You just don't want to have a low riding car, but a normal car could do it just fine. Don't need 4-wheel drive. And again, you go through another the results of a mining town. But this part right here that we're at, I want to take a picture of this. You can hike into this part from the bottom of this drive from actually in Death Valley, because this is actually in the park right here. And these canyon walls are probably 200 feet high, something like that. This is probably the narrowest portion of it, and it's probably 20 feet wide through here. Just beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous.
So Colleen was asking when you were taking this trip. I think you said spring, March.
March, yeah, March. I picked up. So I've never had a camper before. I bought this camper on this particular road trip, and first night out on this road trip was in Nevada, and -6 overnight. And during this road trip, I don't think there was any night that didn't get above freezing. But during the daytime in Death Valley is 70 degrees or so. Very, very, very nice. But yeah, mid-March towards late March, somewhere in that time frame.
Got to make sure you have a warm sleeping bag and, of course, a friendly dog.
You have to have a friendly dog. Have to have.
Okay.
This is so I didn't realize, Colleen. So I did this trip in March, and so you have to give your subject for these shows several months in advance. And I didn't realize that Lars and Colleen had done a Death Valley showing as well. So I tried to limit the photos from Death Valley as much as I could. I really didn't spend a lot of time in Death Valley anyway. But I learned a lot about Death Valley, first time I'd ever been there, and certainly a different environment. This particular photo was taken, this is in Eureka Dunes, which is in the far north portion of the park. Not a lot of people go there. I camped overnight here, and I think there were 2 other people camping there. So not a lot of people here. I took this photograph towards the evening, and I just didn't realize how big these sand dunes are. I don't know the size of the sand dunes in the rest of the park, but these things are huge. I had to be a good half mile away from these sand dunes when I took this particular picture. And, you know, and I just really didn't realize until that these people were in the, which is fortunate that they are. But I mean, these things are huge. These things are just monstrous. So I can't remember. They may be the highest sand dunes in the U.S. I'm not positive on that, but you know,
But that scale is delightful just to see the two figures there.
yeah, I think you know, the more I'm into landscape photography, the more I see that you have to add some kind of scale, like people or a friendly dog or something, a car or a road or something in there, you know, to add scale, because I'm starting to see that, you know, without this, you know, this picture really wouldn't be a lot, you know, in my mind. It just wouldn't be a lot without the people in it, you know, and the footprints and, you know, that sort of thing. But I like the colors that I had, you know, the zigzags and the crossing of the different colors, that sort of thing. It just, yeah, I like this photograph.
Colleen notes, and it was she and Lars who shared photos last month that we have also a video of, or was it 2 months ago?
2 months ago, yeah.
And she says 700 feet might be the largest of these dunes. And here is another photograph that looks like, no, not quite this one yet. We'll see that.
Reed, can you pass this one up and go to the next one, please? They're just slightly out of order.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the one that reminds me a lot of some of the photos that we saw with Colleen and Lars, but it's a lovely demonstration of the variety of color in Death Valley.
Yeah. You know, and me not ever being there. So this is the 20 Mule Team Canyon Drive, you know, whatever it was. And this is early one morning. And, you know, if you've never been to some place, you read about it and you can envision what it is. But then when you actually go and you see these things, that these things are just absolutely spectacular, you know. And the park is so big, and in all reality, and those of you that have been there, you know, I'm expecting this sort of thing throughout the park, but it isn't. You know, they're just, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you have, you know, the different areas of the park that are just totally different. You know, but this is just absolutely gorgeous. I spent probably the most time in the park. I spent it right here in this particular canyon. So yeah, just beautiful. This is in the morning, you know, for the sunrise, hitting the peaks and that sort of thing. But just, you know, and again, you don't really realize, you know, the depth of this. Like about a third of the way up on the right-hand side, that is either a road or a path. So it gives you an idea of how immense these places are. They're just huge and just gorgeous.
Yeah, we had a question in the chat by Sheila about asking if there were trucks down there, but I think they're just boulders that we're seeing.
Yeah, those are just boulders down there. You know, and that may be the road that right there where your cursor was. You know, and it's just a dirt road. Yeah, right through there. I think that's actually the road that goes through there, because if you go way over to the left-hand side, you can see that it's semi maintained.
Okay, so going back just to this photo.
This is Mono Lake. A lot of people in the town by Lee Vining, and off to the distance, you can actually see the 395. That's what you see in the background on the other side of the lake. A lot of people go and they take photographs of the what are they called? The tufas. Yeah, of the tufas and that sort of thing. You know, and I tried to look at different things rather than going to take the pictures of the tufas. So I just happened to drive by this particular place, and so I stopped to take a look at it and take a picture of it. One of the things that I did that And I wanted to make sure that I did was get down low enough so that this old tree would break the skyline. You know, I found so many times that if you find a tree with it's completely enclosed of a background like a mountain or something like that, those trees just kind of disappear. And this tree would have done exactly the same thing if I'd not broken the skyline with it. But yeah, nice, beautiful, beautiful little place. You know, I personally, when I camp, most of the time I boondock, and by boondocking I mean I don't usually go to campgrounds and that sort of thing. And so back on the left-hand side where you start running into the shade, I think that's where I spent the night, back in that area, back in there. So just beautiful out here. And I personally like this look of land, just this kind of barren look. So you'll see a lot of my stuff that looks like this. So,
And I love the tip about the breaking the skyline. I will think about that when I'm peering through my iPhone.
Yep. Oh, man.
Oops.
Let me
Okay, here we go.
go to, yeah, looks like that tree. And you know, and again, this is just you know, about as simplistic of photo as you can possibly get. This is a little ways off of the 395. This is actually the Christmas Valley. Diane, you know probably where Christmas Valley is, southeast of Bend. And I'm just driving down the road going from point A to point B, and I have to see this tree, so I just thought I'd jump out and take a look at it. I enjoyed the clouds, you know, it's just one of those photographs that, you know, that you have to take. So
I like it. Yeah, and you're saying this is a single image. There's not any multiple exposures put together here, and
yeah. The only multiple exposure that I have in this set are just the very first two. Everything else is, you know, just a single exposure.
So Colleen is
Pretty
remarking on the soft sage tones, which I think, yeah, it gives it a very reflective feel.
Yep. This is early evening, you know, starting to hit sunset, you know, that sort of thing.
Here's some more clouds.
Yes, and so this is right on the 395. I was standing pretty much right on the highway. And again, we get back to that thing again of, you know, I just like that barren look, and that's all this was, just some old trailer out there. As far as I can tell, it's abandoned, you know, so I just wanted to grab a quick snap of it, you know, and take a look at it. And, you know, I had to take out a lot of stuff on the right-hand side. There was old cars or old buildings or something over on the right-hand side, and it's cropped way down. I mean, it was originally a full-size, regular size photograph that I cropped way down to make it look more like a panorama, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, and the color that is very nice. That accent of the trailer.
Yeah, I liked it. A little bit further down, I have another photograph where I actually got off of the road of another building, and I'm out wandering around out there and walking around in some mud hollow kind of thing, and I got back to the truck. It took me 15 minutes to get the mud off my shoes. I mean, it was just caked on there. It was just nasty. But anyway, this is another photograph, and this is on some gravel road. You know, same thing. I try to go up and down gravel roads and just cruise around. And this again is in Christmas Valley in Oregon, and I'm just driving down the road. It was considerably darker than what the photograph looks like. But you know, it was right here. You know, I'm out taking pictures, and some car comes driving by the other way, and they stopped to ask if I needed any help, and you know, just wonderful people out there. You know, so yeah, I really like this. You can tell how cold it is, because it was at freezing. You know, that's kind of frost on the plants and that kind of stuff. But it was chilly. The vast majority of nighttime chilly weather during this road trip.
So this is taken in the evening?
Oh yeah, probably 9 o'clock at night. somewhere, it was pretty dark, but I lightened it up so that you could see it more, and and it was a fairly long exposure. But yeah, it was definitely in the evening.
Yeah, you could have said when they pulled over to help, well, what I could use is a little help on this exposure here. Yeah, that's kind of nice. So you just you wandered around and poked your head into gravel roads and tried to see what you might find out there.
Yep, that's all I did is I just drove up, and I looked on the map, and I said, well, I think I'll go over here. I think I'll go over there. I was actually headed up to Bend when I was on this particular road, but it got so late. I was going to go up and take photographs of Smith Rock, get as close to Smith Rock as as the evening, but it took me so long to drive up to, and I kept stopping and taking pictures and that sort of thing. So, but this is Pip. This is Miss Pip, and this is an area. So almost straight up north from Reno is Pyramid Lake, still in Nevada, and so in between Pyramid Lake and the 395, and the 395 would be on the backside of those. In between what would look like the rolling hills and the mountains, I think that's where 395 is. And so this is out in the middle of nowhere. Just stopped and spent the night, and and a beautiful sunset, and Pip was always willing to pose and look happy for me. So
yeah, I love the luminous character to the sagebrush or the bushes there.
Yeah, it was just absolutely beautiful. They have these big giant ranches or farms, and a house every couple of miles, and what you can't see in this particular photograph, because you'd have to really look close, but way in the background at the foothills, there's a giant solar farm back in there, and it's just a giant thing. So anyway, yeah, just gorgeous, just a lot of fun out tooling around these roads, and thank goodness when I'm out, I use a Menza maps when I'm out going around places and stuff, so that way I'll know where I'm at any one time. And I thought I was on some other road, looked at my Menza maps, and so I figured out, knew exactly where I was at, and I knew I wasn't going to end up in some dead end, have to drive around for 20 miles trying to figure out how to get back again. But the Menza maps, or I think Gaia might do the same thing, but just great having that ability to know where you're at when you're out and about.
Well, the pictures you have taken and brought back are stunning.